Greetings, all, and welcome to the Huddle. I'm Dr. Rollan Roberts, and we'll be spending the next few minutes with you, going over each of your enterprises and answering any questions that you may have. This is for you. This is your opportunity to to ask any questions for us to go deep on the specific challenges that your businesses face. Enterprises in Africa face challenges that businesses in many other parts of the world do not face. You have unique challenges, and we recognize that. And so the purpose of our time together is to give that kind of custom counsel to you uh, because it is very unique. I remember being asked. I was asked a couple of weeks ago. They said, "Can you? What brands would you like to see from Africa go global?" That was the question. And, I really had to stop and think about it. What brands do I want to see go global? Which brands are worthy of a global presence? What brands add value to people in the rest of the world that they don't already have? So if it's a clothing brand, that's great. There's a bunch of clothing brands. There's a lot of clothing options. There's more options for many of these things in the rest of the world than there is even in Africa. So there's really not a clothing brand that is all the rage, for the rest of the world. There wasn't really an artist. So even if you go into the entertainment industry, there wasn't necessarily an artist that hey, if that had broken out, so that if we shared their music with the world, they couldn't live without it. um, and then I started thinking about service businesses, and I started thinking about technology companies. What technology has an African entrepreneur developed, or software that they've written, that would be beneficial to the rest of the world, or that would be better than what is currently out there? And I honestly could not think of a single one. And it blows my mind because, just speaking frankly, the joke around the world is that all viruses or computer scams, email scams come from Nigeria. That's the common sentiment, because they always the scammers always send the email or something, the Facebook message or whatever platform they use, and they say, hey, your rich uncle from Nigeria has died and has left you, 38 million USD, and we just need a bank to deposit it in, and it'll be right there, and so you've got. So my point is that you've got advanced programmers, you have advanced technical capabilities, you have youth and people who are very creative. However, it's misplaced. If we could channel that creativity, if we could channel that entrepreneurial spirit, if we could channel that technical skill and know how into creating products that benefit the world, then then the success, uh, first of all, their financial success would be significant, but it puts Africa on the economic or on the commercial map. Right now, there is not a global push to get made in Africa products, and so I think that, and here's the interesting dichotomy, and I'm just kind of talking through this with you, because a lot of the strategies of the African enterprises that I have worked with predicate themselves on national mandates, and encouraged dictates. So, for example, uh, Rwanda has a big push of made in Rwanda products, and Ethiopia has a big push of made in Ethiopia, and Botswana wants made in Botswana, and every country wants made in that country. The problem with that is that that's pretty lame for the political leaders to just copy, right? There is no honor in copying what other people do, unless it is a blueprint for success, which usually is not tactical. Most people are so superficial, they only copy the tactics. What they should be copying is the behaviors. What they should be copying is the disciplines and the behaviors. So we have the technological training and education available in Africa. That's why they're so effective. It's easier to scam. You get faster money scamming than you do building an honorable business. Okay, but the ability exists on the African continent to rise up above this and become a global commercial leader. But it requires a shift in thought, a shift in thinking. It You have to remove some things that you have held as truth that was indeed not truth, and you have to replace that with actual truth. And one of the misnomers is that truth is relative. Well, if it is a relative truth, then it is not truth. It may be circumstantially correct, but and this is what our world does not understand today, is that there is a difference between facts and truth. Okay, so I can tell you the facts of something that happened, but that doesn't make it truth. Okay, and what I mean by that is truth is universal. Truth bedrock principles that does not change from circumstance to circumstance. So a body of truth is, this is what's true no matter what happens. Okay, now facts are circumstantial much of the time, except for some very obvious ones, but many things that we call facts are indeed not facts at all. Remember, for centuries, scientists told us that the earth was flat. Science told us the earth was flat. Well, that was not a fact, even though they told us it was a fact. There are just some things that we don't know, or we think we know, and we even say it loud enough, and we say it convincingly enough that people start to believe it. But believing something doesn't make it true. Believing something doesn't make it right. It's just what you believe. So I share this because we have to, as African enterprises, to break the barrier. And there is a barrier, because I'm telling you, there's not products, services, goods going beyond the borders globally to any significant measure. So because you have all the disparate objectives of African countries, all of them wanting the national pride of, we are the leaders, it was made here. But we're all producing the same thing. We're all making clothes, and we want it to be made in this country. We're all making this service, these baskets, and we want it to be made in this country. Well, there's no differentiating value there. There's no differentiating value. So, for example, it's not enough to be different. You've got to be better. And it doesn't just mean faster, cheaper. It works a little bit better. You will always struggle if you only strive for incremental. I've said many times before that incremental growth and incremental revenue is a dirty word in business. It's a dirty word because you will lose focus. So, for example, a company will start off with one product or service. And this happened many times with the hundreds of African enterprises that I've worked with. hundreds of times, hundreds of companies where they started off with one product, they achieved some success. Maybe they were up to, you know, 5,000 USD, 15,000 USD, some even up to 50 or 70,000 USD. And then they said, okay, we need to add this product and we need to add this product and we need to add this product. Or they're doing really well and they're wanting to now add 3 products, and they were asking for you know, $50 million in one case to build a factory for products that they've never made before, for products they've never grown before, for equipment they've never run before or managed before, um, and to sell to people that they don't even have customers for necessarily. And I mean, that's a massive gamble. You know, I mean, you might as well just go to the casino with the money. Your odds are probably going to be better because it's interesting to me the people who want to build factories and they've never built a shed. You know, they've never built a hut, but yes, let's build a massive factory. You don't know how many employees you need based on different amounts of revenue. You don't know how large the storage room, you don't know how many storage rooms you need. You don't know how many shelves, how many stacked high, or maybe you need bins and you don't need shelves at all. You don't know the proper layouts that makes it most efficient for like an assembly line or for production. Uh, there's just a lot of problems when you try to start out where other people grow to. You really miss and lose a lot of the education along the way. That is what's going to really help you make the right decisions there. I like to know personally how long it takes to get certain jobs done. I want to know. I don't want to be able to be snowed, which in English I'm using that euphemism to say taken advantage of, or you have employees who will say, "Oh, this took me all day." But because I did it, I know that takes 30 minutes if you'll just not go get coffee 5 times and stop and say hello to everybody along the way. And if you will put your head down and stay focused, you will be able to get that done a whole lot faster. And so I go back to the only reason people fail, the only reason why companies fail is broken focus. And yeah, Eugenie's got the point there, I think. So here's what I want to share. I'm going to play a video that I recorded about the power. It's called the single fork strategy, and it's about the power of focus. And I compare some of the leading brands in the world today, both for smartphones and entertainment gaming consoles. And this was I recorded this 10 years ago, actually. And in fact, it might be 10 years ago last month. Uh, but it's still so relevant. It is the reason companies fail or succeed. And when I was thinking about this, the how many people were wanting to grow where they're only $10,000 into the current product. It's going well. They've got the equipment and they want to bounce and jump to something else. And let me tell you why before I start this video, because I don't address it. The reason people do that, and it's a natural thing for entrepreneurs. This is not an Africa thing at all. This is all entrepreneurs everywhere. Feel this urge, okay? We all build brands and companies to our capacity and in a time frame that we're comfortable with, okay? So maybe we have the attention span to go 1 year building our dream, or 2 years to build our dream, or a certain period of time. But then we halt and we hit our ceiling, not the market ceiling, not the potential of the space that we're dealing with. No, we hit our potential. We hit our ceiling. Now, we may blame a lot of external factors, but that's the hard truth of the matter, is that we've hit our limit. And we know that because there are many other people, many other companies that are doing significantly more revenue in many of the projects that we're working on, right? So we know it's not a problem that the market isn't there. The problem is we don't have the ability to capture that market beyond where we are right now with what we think we have. And so what we do instead of trying to just stay at it and keep hammering away to uh, to pass to level that mountain. Instead, what we do is we go back to what we know and start something fresh, and we start something new, or we add a product because we know we can start something and get it to here. So we now start growing, melons, and we get to all of up here. And in the next few years, we've got a nice little business with melons. But then we've come to the same point we did with the first product. So we now are going to start a third one with like avocados or something. And so we start yet again and do the same thing. So it's a lack of focus. It's really a lack of growth. And I've got to tell you, I think that's what has surprised me probably more than anything else on the African continent was that there's not much emphasis on growth, on the growth of enterprises, the growth of entrepreneurs. We don't understand the value that I think it was Edison who said, you cannot solve your problems today at the current level of thinking that you're at, because it is your current level of thinking that has created or put you in the situation that created the problems. So the very thinking that puts you in the situation, you have to grow your thinking, expand your mind to be able to go to a higher levels. The other thing that has been an interesting thing for me to observe with African enterprises is they think it is unnatural to struggle, especially like in raising capital, things like that. They think it's unnatural, these barriers. And what's ironic is that the rest of us, it's so normal, it's so second nature. We're used to this. We are used to pounding our heads against a brick wall month in, month out. Never mind a global pandemic in the middle of it all. That changes everything. But it was like, this is what was normal before COVID, right? Before a pandemic. So, but as entrepreneurs, we understand that what makes a good entrepreneur good is that they know how to change the rules of the game for their industry. They don't just try to enter into the system that exists, because the little guy never beats the big guy playing by the big guy's rules. You can study The Art of War by Sun Tzu. You can study, all kinds of battle strategies. You can study war. You can study history. And in every case, strategy is what wins. It's not your tactics. But yet, most of the questions I get is about tactics. Tactics. And then, you know why? Because they just want to mirror. They just want to copy. Not only is there no honor in copying, but there is no success in copying because it's already been done. It's not exciting. It's not new. It's not better. And you're not as convincing with it because you didn't labor and toil and, in fact, face maybe financial ruin or face extreme loss or extreme pain or extreme adversity as a result of creating your product or building your company. And because the more pain and the more adversity, the more challenges, the more problems that you encounter and stay moving forward, that's what makes someone great. That's what gives you the passion and the credibility and the what we call the it factor. The it factor, meaning it's hard to really quantify what it is. It's just there's something different about that person. Have you ever said that about somebody? There's just something different. They have it. Maybe we say they glow or they radiate, but it's the it factor. And that is exactly what we're talking about here. Entrepreneurs that have the it factor are the ones who have faced problems and trials and obstacles that would bring tears to the eyes of people who have crawled over broken glass and have been put under the most extreme conditions because of they went through adversity. They faced what was certain death of the business, or maybe even sometimes themselves. They faced absolute impossibilities, and they did not quit. Not only did they not quit, they kept the right attitude and spirit about them. So they say that half of success is showing up, right? Have you ever heard that? Half of success is just showing up. They say the other half is the attitude you show up with. Half of success is showing up. The other half is the attitude you show up with. And I can tell you from all of the African or the investors, for example, that I've brought to Africa, they many in fact we had many walk away because they got weary of the attitude of African entrepreneurs. They did not like the entitlement. They felt like they were getting an entitlement philosophy or feeling back from just conversations and so forth. And so they didn't like that. And I, you know, what's interesting to me is it's through this is through no fault of any individual person. It's just the cultural challenges, but we have to be able to talk about them openly in order to overcome them, so that we can help African enterprises be a dominant force in the world. Uh, so, you know, for all of the different reasons, a lot of well-meaning people and probably some not well-meaning people that have gone before, and I'm talking about from for centuries prior to now on the African continent, who came with handouts, who came with, you know, just line up and we'll give it to you, whether it's land, whether it's uh, money, whether it's, you know, whatever it is, equipment, whatever it is, you know, usually there was an NGO, a nonprofit, a charity, or somebody who would just give it. The American missionary, even in many cases. And so while while the intentions were good, I think, you know, in many cases, it creates a paradigm, and the Bible talks about that actually. That whole principle of give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day. Teach a man a fish, you'll feed him for a lifetime, is a biblical principle out of Proverbs. Um, which it says a little bit different. It talks about if you spare an individual in the day of adversity, uh, then you will have to constantly, you know, do that for that person. And so it says to not do that, because it does not actually in the long run help them. I can't tell you how many people in their moment of need, they'll even get mad at you if you don't help. But and there are sometimes that you need to help, but I think it's a matter of discerning, you know, is this one of those times, or is this, am I enabling? And and so the answer is not no money, the answer is not no investment, the answer is not don't do anything. The answer is do it judiciously, do it prudently, be diligent about it. And what I knew is, like, for example, if we gave $50 million for that one company to build a factory that had never built a shed, you know, in their backyard, imagine how much that would have hurt them. You know why it would have hurt them? Because they would have built something. They would not be able to pay that loan back. People would have been coming after them. They would be, you know, coming after, you know, trying to get to them any way they could, through family, through whatever, you know, calling, harassing, you know, because 50 million is a whole lot of money that they're not going to walk away from. And then and so now their lives are miserable. You can't go anywhere, you can't do anything, you don't even feel safe or comfortable, at least in your own home, because of the mental uh uh pressure that they put on you. And you're not, the revenue does not equal the investment that you've made. So I would actually be hurting them. I'd be hurting their family. And imagine now their kids. their kids going through all this, the mental anguish. These are things that will last a lifetime for these children, right? So if I gave people, and I think God does that to us, if He gave us everything we wanted, we'd find out really quickly it's probably not what we want. I asked for the wrong thing, but that's the way we do with our kids. And so, if you gave your child absolutely everything they ever asked for, is that good for them or bad for them? Well, it's bad for them for several reasons. What it teaches them, kind of the sense of entitlement that they have. They don't appreciate how hard you work. They don't appreciate what you're having to do to put food on the table or to build a business while you're working at a job. So they don't appreciate. There's not a spirit of Thanksgiving. There's a spirit of entitlement. And what does that do to you as a hardworking parent? It's like, well, I work way too hard for this attitude you've got going on right now. So you get nothing. uh, that is a very natural response. And so what I want to do after these introductory remarks, I'm going to play this brief video on the single fork strategy, and then we are going to, and then it's all you ask the questions, you talk about your business, you talk about what you want or need, and let's really just kind of dive deep on how to get that, and especially during a pandemic, or what does your industry look like after the pandemic. But I can only help if I know the actual pieces that we're dealing with. uh, One of the interesting things with companies that I've worked with is it almost did not matter how much money they had or did not have. I could still go into a company with very few resources, but if I knew the objective, there's usually multiple other ways we can accomplish it. And so that's what I hope to get through to be able to serve you today. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share and play this video that I think will really help answer some questions for you. Here we go. You need to be crystal clear about who you are and what you do, what you're best at. It's called the single fork strategy. The single fork strategy. Let me give you a couple examples. First of all, probably the one of the most prominent in my mind is Motorola versus Nokia. Motorola invented the cell phone. They invented it. And then they got into personal computers. They got into workstations. They had a $13 billion satellite. They have semiconductors. They have all kinds of other things. Then you got Nokia. Nokia makes cell phones. Now, Nokia used to make paper products, rubber products, tires, shoes. They were in personal computing as well. They were in a lot of electronics, mechanical type things. They were in a lot of different areas. But they made a switch. They dropped everything and focused on becoming the world's #1 cell phone manufacturer, which they successfully did with 39% market share. So let's compare the results. All right. Last 10 years, Motorola's sales was $330 billion. Nokia was $370 billion. Nokia did $40 billion more revenue over the last 10 years by having a single product when their competitor had numerous product lines. Okay? But the profit, Motorola's profit was $5 billion, Nokia's was $44 billion. Motorola's profit margin was 1.6%, Nokia's was near 12% at 11.9%. Their market capitalization, Motorola was $21 billion. It is $21 billion, and Nokia is $93 billion. Isn't it a lot easier to just be focused? This is a lot less headaches over here. But companies make the mistake over and over and over and over because of the dirty word, incremental. Well, I know we invented this cell phone, but now we're going to take all this money we made in cell phones and we're going to buy a $13 billion satellite. Oh, now we're going to take all this
and we're not really successful there, so we're going to start entering the semiconductor market. We can play in all these spaces, and the whole world is open to us, instead of realizing, and as you notice, Google has obviously experienced the same thing, which is why they bleed cash in all the other areas. They have the cash to bleed, but nevertheless, from a business person's perspective, I assure you they're not pleased with their inability to create and drive revenue outside of search. And they say as such. So the bottom line is this. By the way, let me just share with you. Motorola, they did drop the personal computing. They did drop the workstations. They sold the $13 billion satellite, and they spun off the semiconductor business about 2.5, 3 years ago. And so they're getting focused. They're just 20 years late to the party. And of course, you know the old Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. So, at least they're doing it, but they lost the cell phone war that they invented because they lost clarity. Let's talk about the airlines for a moment. Single fork strategy. Single fork strategy I'm talking about here, sharing with you, is helping you stay focused and stay clear on who you are, what the objective is. It's a single fork strategy. So let's talk about the airlines. I don't have a salad for fork and a salad a knife for my salad, and a knife for dessert, and all this. I don't have a fork for everybody. I've got a single fork. This is who we are. It might have a few prongs to it. Nokia has more than one model of a cell phone, right? So they might have a few things, but this is who we are, and this is the space we play in. Look at airlines. Every time airlines come up with a question, you know what their answer is? When they come to a fork in the road, you know which way they go? They just take it. They just go. Instead of having a single fork strategy. So for example, do we want to be a passenger airline, or do we want to be a cargo airline? Do we want to have business class, first class, economy class, coach class, I mean? Do we want to charge high prices or low prices? Do we want to fly domestic or international? And every time they come to these questions, they normally say yes. Yes, sounds good, let's do it. All right? And what happens is they go off in all these different directions. And then you've got Southwest Airlines. The single fork strategy. Southwest says, we're business only. Then they say, domestic or international? We're domestic only. Vacation or business? We're business only. Business, first class, coach class? We're all coach class. They learned to say no to a lot of things. They said no to food, they said no to pets, they said no to inter-airline baggage exchange, which I'm sure Lisa's glad for, because it never get there. They said no to a lot, they said no to corporate discounts. See, so what happens is the single fork strategy in airlines, and by the way, let me share the results. So Southwest single fork strategy versus all of the major players that we know and do not love today. Number one, here's another idea. Southwest flies one type of plane. Continental has 6. Delta has 8. American has 8 different types of airplanes. You know what that means? Let me just think about this for a second. If I've got 8 models of an airplane, I have to have 8 different parts for all of those planes. For all of the parts, I've got to have a different part for every single plane. If the seat messes up on one flight, I can't go get the seat from another plane and put it in there. It has to be the same make or the same model, and it's got to be able to be transferable, and it's got to be able to fit. If it's an engine component, they can't interchange parts. Southwest can. One plane. So let's look at the results. The 5 largest U.S. airlines, as you know, American, United, Delta, Northwest, and U.S. Air. United went bankrupt. Delta went bankrupt. Northwest went bankrupt. U.S. Air went bankrupt. And American, over the last 10 years, has lost $4 billion. So that's the story of the top 5. Southwest, on the other hand, announced earlier this week, they're spending $1.4 billion to acquire AirTran. See, very big difference in terms of strategy and in terms of results. Now, this is very different than Motorola and Nokia. Nokia had higher revenues than Motorola by being a single port organization. Not so with the airlines. Southwest revenue is a lot lower, but let's look at the real numbers. All right. The top Southwest today, the top 5 carriers, if you add up the top 5, American, United, Delta, Northwest, and U.S. Air, Their combined value, their market cap is $10.8 billion. Southwest, pre-AirTran, was $11.2 billion. I didn't read you the numbers over the last 2 days. Pre-AirTran was $11.2 billion. Worth more than the top 5 carriers combined. And you know what? Their jobs and their days are a whole lot easier. A whole lot less stressful. Right? So understanding, getting lack of clarity. Last illustration, I close. Sony and Nintendo. These are great case studies, by the way. If you ever start looking into them, I enjoy it. I refresh the numbers periodically because I want to see how it changes. The only way I can create a high growth organization in different industries is to know what's happening and how to do it. Sony and Nintendo. Sony, what don't they make? All right, Nintendo makes video game players, right? Video game players is where their market's at. Sony has $83 billion in sales. Nintendo has $8 billion in sales. Sounds like they're getting beat pretty bad, you know, from a sales perspective. However, their market cap, meaning the value of the organization, Sony is worth $36 billion, and Nintendo is worth $68 billion. So I'm making nearly $80 billion less a year, and I'm worth twice.
All right, so that kind of helps you understand a little bit about where things are, where the understanding the Singapore strategy. All right. Yeah, there we go. That was a video from whenever I was CEO of a nutraceutical company. It was the largest harvesters of blue-green algae in the world. And that video that started to play was from one that I recorded to our customers and to our staff while I was CEO there. So anyway, great things. Go ahead and unmute. In fact, maybe I am able to do that for you, but I'll do this. And then that way, unless you have background noise, then go ahead and remute yourself or stay muted. But I here now we're getting the background noise. But yeah, let's. I want to dive into any of your businesses or any questions specifically about how to grow it, or strategy, or you know, things like that. So go ahead if someone has a question, or raise your hand. Actually, that might be in the chat or what have you. That might be the easiest way to communicate that. But this is your time.
Good afternoon, Dr. Rollan. Good afternoon in Zambia. Yeah. This is Priska. Our business, our business. Well, before I talk about that, I think I would like to thank you for these. I'll call them lectures. You know, the Huddle, very, very useful information. I mean, the last time it set me thinking, and then this time again, it has really set me thinking. And the question really, I mean, that was going on in my mind as you were explaining about growth, I'm asking myself, how then should I grow? Because, you know, you look at companies that you think are seemingly doing well. I will mention a big company in Zambia that has grown over the years, Trade Kings. Now, what you notice about them is that they are making washing powder, they are making baby food, they are bottling water, they are doing all sorts of, you know, different things. And then you look at yourself and you think, well, maybe the direction I should. Growth is about on different products, you know, different lines. But clearly, well, you have explained. Now, coming back to our business, We are processing cassava. It's a social enterprise. I don't know whether you remember it, from it's a social enterprise. We are processing cassava and millet into flour. And that is what we are, selling into the chain stores and so on. Now, in terms of growth, what we do, well, one of the problems that we have definitely is to grow our market. We need to get more products out there. We need to get more outlets to sell our products to. And then the other aspect of growth we were thinking of, which we actually wanted to apply for in this funding tour, was to think about other products that we can be able to make, from the millet and from the cassava. That if we, thinking about changing the rules of the game, we were thinking of making some maybe cereal products that other people are not, largely doing now in Zambia. So how would you, advise us in the way that we should go? Do we just focus on, getting our products into a larger market, or would we still be in the same, will we be still okay dealing with these raw materials and adding more value to them?
So let me thank you for the overview, and I'm looking forward to this diving deep on this, because so right now the cassava powder and the millet powder. So what forms do you receive them in? Are you growing them, or do you receive them so that then you can grind it?
So we are not growing the cassava. Our idea is to work with smallholder farmers, these poor women, where we collect them. We collect the raw material, the dry tubers, from through an aggregator or an off-taker who sells, this product to us, and then we process it, basically grinding and packing it in nice package into upmarket shops. Mostly, right now we are in one of the biggest supermarkets in Zambia, or chain stores, ShopRite. Yeah. So that's our main market right now. Yeah. But we are not happy with at the level at which we are now. We definitely need to grow this market.
So right now, your customer is obviously your main customer is ShopRite, because you got the largest store there, promoting or selling your goods, right?
Yeah.
And so they just view you as a vendor, right? They view you like all of the other vendors who they sell their products, because ShopRite doesn't make anything, they don't manufacture anything, they just resell other people's items.
Exactly.
As they are retail.
Yeah.
So, but you're the real creator, you're the real innovator.
Yeah.
So, number one, let me just throw this out. How, for the existing products you have, unless you have an agreement with ShopRite that precludes you from doing this, which most don't preclude you from doing it, you should be trying to sell direct as well. It doesn't cost you anything to list your items on your website for sale, right? And your products. Now, that may not be, as you get into a whole bunch of places, that may not be the right strategy. But for right now, it is. And I'll tell you why. Because what happens if ShopRite goes out of business tomorrow? And I know it seems impossible, but you have to understand, we see global brands going out of business almost every day. The ones that we had no idea were having problems. I remember I read a list yesterday of 53 global restaurant brands that we do not expect to last outside of 2020. Many of them blew my mind. I had no idea they were in financial trouble. Had no idea. And then many of them are doing things quietly. We just had a massive retailer in the United States called Steinmart that closed all of their stores last week permanently. They were selling the previous week, or 2 weeks ago, they were selling even the hangers and the display racks, and display tables and all the equipment. Like they were selling everything. We've got Applebee's in trouble. Applebee's the restaurant, Five Guys, just I can't even begin to describe all of the ones. Obviously Sears, J.C. Penney, Kmart. So you want to have an alternative strategy to the big box retail store. Now there will always be a retailer you can sell into. So one of the questions is, do you go direct to ShopRite right now, or is there a distributor in between you and ShopRite that is doing it?
We go direct. We go direct to ShopRite. So there's no distributor in between. And we are, we do sell to local stores, like convenience stores, small convenience stores, individuals, and so on.
Okay, I like that. I did not know that. So keep that B2B strategy, B2B, business to business, and don't impose a B2C model at this just yet, a business to consumer. You've obviously have the process, you've got the margins in place. So now you're looking for volume. And I did have one question. As you will you achieve economies of scale as you grow? So, for example, are you able to make the product cheaper the more volume you do, or is your current margin, like if it costs you $1 to make stuff and you're selling it for $2, is that the margin whether you're making one of them or 100 million of them, or does it get cheaper?
It will definitely be, now making it cheaper will also depend on where we are getting the product from. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Where we are getting the product from. So the more products, raw material that we get, definitely it will make it cheaper. Yeah. I don't know whether you can add to that, Ali.
Yeah, no, that's what I was wondering. I just wanted to make sure there's some economies of scale there as you grow. So do you think the answer is to get into more ShopRite stores and more commercial enterprises like the more convenience stores, or do you think that you need to expand outside of the current area that you're in, or like in terms of going to get into more ShopRites around Africa or even into other African countries? Where do you see probably the logical growth?
The logical growth at the moment is more ShopRites, because more ShopRites and other chain stores that we have around, and also the possibility of us also selling exporting to some neighboring countries.
Okay, so is the product selling really well right now in ShopRite or no?
It's selling well. It's selling well.
So what do you have to do, or what does it take for ShopRite to start carrying this in more stores? If it's doing well, it would be logical for them to say, hey, this is selling, people love it, let's put it in more stores.
They are moving it. They are moving it in more stores. Like, I mean, we just started last year in September. We started with 9 stores, and now we are at 16 stores. So they are moving it, although maybe not at the pace that we want. Yeah, but they
never do.
Yeah.
So let me ask this. So what if they did have you in 30? Well, let me ask this. Have you ever had a conversation with them and said, we want to be in, I don't know how many stores they have, but all 50 of your stores, or whatever. We want to be in all of your stores. What do we need to do to make that happen?
Yeah, we've had that conversation with them before, and we keep on pushing for that. And they say, the ShopRite buying system is managed actually from South Africa, from Cape Town. So they monitor. So they are the ones who are monitoring the movement of your goods in the various shops, and they are the ones that that make the final decision as to how this product can. The people here will make the recommendation, the buyers and whatever, but they make the final decision of why they think the product should move. But again, I should hasten to mention that cassava flour is not a fast moving product. It's not like, like maybe Coke or Millie Meal, that we eat. If you're eating, I mean, people that eat Millie Meal maybe eat 10% or 5% of the quantity of cassava that they, or the quantity of cassava will be 5% of the Millie Meal, that you eat. So there's that aspect of the product, again, yeah.
Okay, now you just struck on something. There are only two ways to grow revenue. So whenever I go into a company, if I'm a CEO or whatever, I would go in and I'd think about it like this. There's only two ways to grow. I either get existing customers to buy more. So if my average checkout was, $57, then I wanted it to start, if I could grow it to $70, then that's a, well, 57, I mean, you're looking at a 20% increase. So, that's, or you either get existing customers to buy more, or you get new customers by having new products. Or the other way is to raise, so those are the main two, the main two, the quickest ways anyway to increase revenue. So given what you just said, because the current flour or end product, the turnaround time that they need to buy it is not very fast. We need to shift the conversation and talk about potential products that do not does not distract, does not require new equipment, but takes what you currently have and can repurpose it in some off time or dead time or slow time while you're continuing this other strategy, but with a faster consumable process. So here's two thoughts. First of all, consider making the millet and cassava flour in smaller portions. Now, if that's not culturally what people want to do, then let's quickly move on from that. But let me just say that toothpaste, the tubes of toothpaste. A man had gone into to the executives of a toothpaste manufacturer decades ago and said, if I can increase your revenue by 30% overnight, well, you pay me and whatever amount he demanded, millions of dollars. They laughed at him and scoffed at him and said, it's not happening. There's no way. And bottom line, they ended up working something out, and the man told him, he said, here's how to increase your sales by 30%, your toothpaste sales overnight by 30%. He said, make the hole 30% larger that it comes out. And the reason the tube of toothpaste is the size that it is, and the reason why every dentist and expert in the dental industry will tell you that you only need a dab, even though you can't get just a dab of toothpaste. You have to have a hard time stopping. You can't get just a dab. When you do one squirt, it comes out that much, and you're using 70% more than what you actually need. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
But what it did was it helped the toothpaste companies had their consumers go through their product faster, so they would have to buy, instead of buying once every 4 months, they'd buy once every 2 months. They increased their sales 50%. And nobody complained. They didn't raise their prices. They changed the strategy. So I'm thinking that there's something along those lines with this. Either how it's packaged, how it's delivered, but I think that there may be some other things you can do with cassava or millet that has a faster expiration on it. The goal, this let me just say the general standard uh, for disposable goods is 1 month. Okay, so if it's more frequent than that, then people kind of feel like, okay, that's a little aggressive. If it's longer than that, then it's too long from a business perspective, as we're discussing now.
Yeah.
So, and I do encourage you, next time you go to a shop right one evening and walk through and look at the other products that are there, and look at your competitors. By the way, look at the other millet brands or cassava flour brands, and you don't want to just compete and challenge on, you know, flour for flour. You know, uh, you really want to create something that is special, that's unique, that is different. Um, or maybe you take something that already is, and it's just how you package it that makes with your brand that makes it unique. That very well may be a faster path, and then you can go back to the buyers and say, we now have this additional product, uh, that your customers will want because they're already loyal to our brand, and because this makes it more convenient for them. They don't have to carry some big thing out. They don't need a 6 month supply. What they need is a month supply. Convenience is what people are starting to understand in Africa. They are starting to value convenience. They're starting, here's the real kicker, they're starting to be willing to pay for convenience,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Think about Uber, think about some of these other things. They're willing to pay for convenience. They'll pay more for fast food or for food that they can just go through a drive through. You know, like a coffee shop that I was at in Nairobi, or in Karen, you know, in Nairobi. Um, I paid more for a cup of coffee there than I do in the United States. What is that about? You know, uh, and this is the place of the best coffee, right? This is where all the coffee is, and it's more expensive. Usually, it's cheaper in places like that. But it's because I was in a place, and it's very similar to what Starbucks did here in the United States and globally, was they created an experience around their product. They created an experience around it. So for example, um, I am willing to pay $4. I don't like it still, but I'm willing to pay $4.50 for a cup of coffee in Nairobi because I get to sit down. I'm in a nice setting with nice lighting, and I'll use their Wi-Fi. They're not going to tell me to hurry up because some waitress is trying to make tips and needs that table to make some more. They just let me be. So I'm paying for the comfort, I'm paying for the convenience, I'm paying for the experience. And so the one of the questions, and this doesn't get asked enough, but is there a way for you to create an experience around your cassava, your millet? Is there a way to create an experience around your flour? So for example, maybe you offer cassava plant tours, uh, or you do education around that process. Maybe have you ever wondered why everyone, the people who sell like things online, like stock market programs or real estate, how to invest in real estate, or they sell all these, or personal development content, success type content. They put all these things in packages and they sell them to you for X amount. But and most people know they've made much more money from doing that than they ever did from whatever it was they're teaching you how to do. Right? So you look at what you're doing right now and say, how can I help other people, maybe to educate them on cassava, milling and grinding, or helping others who may want to get in the industry, or maybe what if you had farmers and grinding and things like that all over, and you had partnered with these, so you helped them start and you partnered with them, so you were getting the right percentage of revenue that you deserve from helping them get started, and from teaching them the profitable way that you know how to do it. And then, but you've got them in different countries in Africa, and then your job and your team's job is to really get with distributors and get with other big consumer brands, because what you would have to offer that other people wouldn't is volume. Buyers don't like to buy an item from the same item from 20 different people. They want to work, they want to find somebody good to work with, that's has a right attitude, that's not a pain or a jerk to work with, and and just do business with them and give them the volume. Um, so I think that there's some ways that you can look at, how do I take what I'm currently doing and generate revenue for what I'm currently doing now. Maybe it's in my process. Maybe it's in giving tours. Maybe it's in taking the flour that we currently have right now and packaging it differently, or the raw cassava. Here's an interesting thought. What if there was a small grinder, just like they do for coffee beans, where everybody can grind up their own coffee in their home, right, and sell the beans whole. So there's a market for whole coffee beans. There's a market for ground coffee beans, but some people like to grind it so it's super fresh. So another, you don't have to replace what you're doing, but another option would be to sell a machine. You don't need to make money off of it or lose money on it. Just find one, that you're able to just buy from a company and have shipped to the customer, and the customer's paying for it, but then you're selling whole cassava. You're doing what people hadn't even thought about doing, because they only are used to buying it in one way. But then I can see the marketing message around that is you're getting the freshest cassava flour. How much better does the meal taste when you're using fresh flour, not things that have sat on a shelf for 3 months or in your cupboard for 6 months? So those are a couple of thoughts, and then the final one is on the new products. How else? What can you turn it into? That is only bite size. I sometimes I'll use like nutrition bars, protein bars, and for a snack or a meal replacement, and they always come in like packs of 4 or 6. The one I get, it comes in packs of 6, and they have that timed. They knew how many to put in there. They know how fast I will go through 6. They know, because they know their market, they know their customer. And once again, they put that number. If they put 15 or 20, which is what I wish they would do, so I don't have to go to the stores often, but they're smart. They know how often and how frequent I will go through that. So anyway, those are some initial ideas. Just keep chewing on that. But I am glad we've had this conversation, Priska, because and refresh my memory to what it was, equipment that we were that you were.
Yes, so it was equipment, and then also talking about problems around, I mean, the problems you are talking about as entrepreneurs that we go through. One of the major ones we challenge that we have is the rented factory space. Yeah, so we are renting factory space. And, the first factory place we rented, it was a good location. We liked it. It took so much space. I remember, paying so much money to put the 3-phase electricity there. And then the owner sold, after 6 months, the owner came and said, I'm selling. If you want to buy, buy. And it was very expensive. And she sold it to some, Chinese people. And then we had to move. Now we are at another location, which is smaller, and then we had to do up the place because it was run down. And then a few months later, there was another problem. There was some ownership wrangle in the family, and that has become very impossible for us to continue being on that location. So for us now, the major issues are finding our own space where we can, work, and then the purchase of machinery to be able to. We have the grinding, the grinding mill that we are using to grind the cassava and the millet right now. But the additional now equipment we're thinking of, the other products that we were thinking thinking if we could do some cereal, maybe some snack or something. Yeah.
Well,
So
I'll tell
that,
you, if you just put that cereal in something that's going to go, they're going to go through it in 2 weeks, not 2 months.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and once again, the outlet where you sell it, you know, is everything. You just don't want to go investing in a whole bunch of equipment to go down this other product line. You really
yeah,
don't want to do that. You've got a good winning strategy. You just have to stay the course. The growth is not as fast as you want, but
yeah,
you're building and growing, and it's a good thing it wasn't, because if it was and you had to move at the same time, you probably
yeah,
would not have been able to fulfill, and they would have found another vendor. So you can
yeah,
thank God that he did, you know, once again, that he didn't give you what you wanted at when you wanted it. He
yeah,
finds a way to protect us, I think.
yeah.
But
That's
there is one
right.
thing I've got to. You said something before you go. I've got to go down. Uh,
Yeah,
and that is your brand, because when you are
mm,
selling in the big box retail space, branding is everything, right?
yeah.
Branding is everything. So what is your brand? I want to know. We call it, how sticky is your brand, you know? And our consumers currently brand loyal or brand specific when it comes to cassava flour in Malay, or no?
Um, uh, I think consumers are becoming, a brand. The cassava market and millet market is a growing market in terms of convenience. As you have said, these are crops that were traditionally grown in Zambia by poor women, and that's why we are doing it, because we are a social enterprise wanting to improve incomes for poor women and things like that. Normally, you would buy the fresh cassava, or the dry tubers, or the meal, the ground cassava at markets, at marketplaces. Now we are looking at convenience. I mean, I don't want to go to the market and go through. I want a well packaged, cassava flour in a more, as I buy my other products. So increasingly, we are getting more of that kind of uh, uh, um, customers in Zambia, who want to find these products in a convenient, nicely packaged, hygienic looking way. And it's just in the last, I think 10 years would even be too long, in the last 5 or so years that we have seen, these products coming up in these in these kind of spaces, like shop, big stores, chain stores, and so we have. In fact, when you go into some of the shops now, you will not find more than 3 brands, or you wouldn't even find cassava, in some of these shops. It's a growing market. It's growing, and the products are coming in, and more people excited even about millet, about especially the health benefits of eating millet. We're beginning to know them now. I myself eat millet every day now, because of the health benefits that I get from millets. So increasingly, we are getting there, and our brand, I think, is growing. I mean, I get friends who'd come and say, oh, I buy this every time I buy this package, and I feel so good, and I remember one time this woman called me and said, hey, are you the one selling Sanshako cassava flour? And I was so scared. I thought, oh my God, maybe they have found a cockroach or something. But then she said, you know what? my friend called me and said, I have found the right cassava on the market, this flour. This is what we should be buying. And she gave me some. I cooked in Shima. My husband loved it. She made my day. I said, I was ready to take the cassava. Actually, I told her, she says, but there's no ShopRite store near me selling your product. I said, well, unfortunately, it doesn't depend on us, where the cassava should be So she says, where can I get it in Lusaka? She's in Lusaka. I'm in Kitwe. And so, I told her where she could buy it. And, I felt so good, that here was a customer ready to advertise our product, and our product is doing well, on the
Prisca,
market. So
you just said the answer. You just said the answer.
yeah,
You said the answer. No, there are several things, and I'm going to give you this, and then we're going to run to another enterprise. But
yeah,
here's where you go. You're starting to create what they call raving fans. Okay, not just customers, raving fans.
Yeah.
People love your product. So
Yeah.
and that's what you want is raving fans. You want to have a great product that they go, this brand is what we want. And so the
Yeah.
fact that you don't have really very many other competitive brands, because it's kind of new to the market, that's a great space. So there's two things. Number one, make distributors out of your raving fans. So whenever someone, even if it's individuals, it doesn't have to be big companies. If you start hearing from people in different regions where ShopRite does not currently carry it, then give them the same wholesale rate that you do ShopRite, and say if you buy a minimum of whatever it is, 100 of this, you're going to be reselling millet and cassava flour, our brand, and they basically become distributors all over the place. And then you're not waiting for ShopRite to pick you and to decide, yes, we're going to grow you. You can be growing your own distributors, and it gives them their own income, right? Because then the individual makes the money that a ShopRite would have made, and you always would rather give it to, like, as you said, the women and youth that will carry your inventory, will market your inventory in that region. And you'll want to have some parameters. You won't just sell it in bulk for this great rate. They have to, plan to do the marketing. They've got to really, work at it and have maybe annual minimum amounts of business that they have to buy from you. But don't make it so exorbitant. They're not a big box. They're an individual, right? Probably maybe with very tight resources. So, but think about that. See if there's a way to engage people who love your product in places, and then all of a sudden you have a sales force that you do not have to pay for all over, and then can get enough sales. You may even allow them to buy one or two of them, and then go sell it tell them, hey, every X amount of weeks or whatever, we're placing another order. Do you want to go ahead and order yours so that we can get it? They could even pre-sell that. So if they don't have money to buy it from you up front, but it's getting that network, it is establishing that, and that does not take money. That takes time, and it takes some protocols that you write down for them on best practices. Here's how to market it. Here's how to do it. So, one of the things that triggered for me was the fact that it's newer on the market, which anytime there's a product like that is a little bit newer, maybe it's got some health benefits, you know what it always requires? It's what we call an educational sale.
Yeah.
So it requires education around it. It's not a product like a shaving cream or, milk that you just, or bread that that you need to get. It requires some education. Why would I buy this? What is it going to do? How do I use it? What can I make with it? Does it mix better in cold water or hot water, or a cold beverage or a hot beverage? Does it work well in this? There's education around new product sales like this, especially in big box stores. So the better you get at spreading this even outside of the big box stores, then it will all assist not only your company to grow faster, keeping the same business to consumer model, or business to business model, excuse me. But it also helps with the education, because people educate better than shelves do, right? The big box corporate companies' shelves aren't educating your customers. But if you have these individuals all over that you give this financial opportunity for them to earn income by reselling your product, and you educate them on it, then they go out and talk to their friends, neighbors, relatives. They have something at the at the market or, you know, wherever, and all of a sudden your product will start cropping up in many of these places.
Mm.
That's
Thank you.
that's it. That's the direction to go. And that is marketing. That's
Yeah.
sure, but make sure your marketing, make sure your name is sticky, make sure it's not too hard to spell, make sure that that they don't have to wonder what is that? That makes no sense. Make sure that it looks appealing, that it's not too busy. I'll never forget some of the most. If you look at the top 5 brands in the world, their logos,
Mm.
their names and their logos, most of them are one word: Apple,
Yeah.
Google,
Yeah.
IBM,
Yeah.
Verizon, right? I'm telling you, don't get fancy with the name and the brand. Don't name it after your third born son and his middle name and your god babies and everybody else. Name it simple. You're trying to build a business. Let the income, the revenue, and the success be the legacy, not just the name. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you'll be able to create a much bigger legacy. The brand, the name is so critical. Even Facebook, right? Twitter, uh, and so this is important. And then you look at Nike, IBM spent millions of dollars. I think it was like $30 million, $32 million on their logo because their name was International Business Machines. They spent $32 million on it or something around like that, I think. And they came back with just the initials. And that was the logo with you know the space in 3 lines. And people were like, you spent $32 million on that? And then Nike with their swoosh spent like $5, right? Or whatever. And so it's interesting to me to think through branding, not just marketing, but branding. And consumers are all about branding. They are brand conscious. They're becoming brand loyal because they equate it to quality or not quality, which we kind of alluded to in the last one. So, Priska, I've really enjoyed getting to know your business and strategies. This has been delightful. Thank you for sharing, and let's just stay connected on this. Next Huddle, let me know some of the new strategies maybe that you're doing and what roadblocks say. I've got some of these, but here's what I found: the distributor fell off. I sent the product and I didn't hear from them. Whatever happens, you know, because I've done all of these things. I'm not recommending something that I haven't done in one of the businesses that I've had over a couple of decades.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Priska. It's a blessing. All right, who's next? Who is next? Oh, you got to be brave. Be brave. Entrepreneurs.
Well, since nobody else is coming, can I ask another question?
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, our name, I just wanted to comment that our name is long, you know, it's a long, it's one word, Sanshako, you know, like Sanshako cassava meal, Sanshako millet meal. And then, but it's got a meaning. It's a local language name, you know, or word, let me say word meaning, you know, add, you are adding to something, because usually like when we eat cassava in our, you have been to Kenya, the ugali, I'm sure you know ugali so we add it in our ugali and it tastes really nice and has a, you know, nice smell, and we like to eat it like that. So we add on to, so that was the inspiration, you know, of the name. Now I just wanted to comment, and you know, that the fact that it's, you know, it's kind of it's one word, but you know, maybe I'll email you the picture, you know, of the package, and maybe you can
have a package nearby. Can you go get one and hold up the brand for me?
Yes, I have it. Yeah, actually. Yeah.
Okay. You know, one of the things I love about this is the huddle like this is because no matter what industry you're in, just going deep on this business, you're able to apply the principles because it challenges much of the thinking in every industry. because it's all a matter of learning what question, not just what questions to ask, but a thought pattern of how do I think about business? How do I look at this? That's why I can go from retail to wholesale to food business to security services to automobiles to planes to electronics to agribusiness and agriculture and to cybersecurity and technology and artificial intelligence. That's how, because you start to understand the underpinning frameworks that all business has to operate from. So go ahead, let me see it.
Yeah, so I don't know whether you can see the package.
I can. And then let me see the brand up top.
Yeah.
Get that closer. Okay. Senshako.
Yeah.
Does anybody outside of Zambia know what that means?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, so when people read it in Zambia, they know what. Yeah, they know.
I see Nadia is on. Nadia is in Rwanda, I believe. Yes. So Nadia, you know what it is?
No, I don't think so.
No, she doesn't. Okay. So get this. You would not even be able to go to other countries in Africa. Now, but here, can you show me that brand again? Okay, and tilt it down a little bit. There's okay. Here's the deal. I like it. It looks different to me. I don't have to know what it is. I like it. So, but here's what I would do, because as you said, right now your brand is only a word and it's kind of outlined, right? So you've got a specific font that you use for your brand. It's cute.
Yeah.
And even as an American, I can look at that and say it. So it's not some obscure word like that I can't pronounce. So I love it. I wouldn't change it at all. The difference is I would, in the middle of that word, if your brand is it always arched, or do you say it straight across? Because right there it looked like it's a little bit arched.
Yeah, it's arched, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's arched. Then right in the middle of that arch, I would add a plus sign. I actually would add a plus sign to my brand. If I had the Senshako brand, I would add a plus sign, because you said it's all about, you use this to add to stuff.
Yeah.
Plus. This is plus. This is something you add. So if the name doesn't tell me what to do with it, then the logo can. And the logo is part of the word. But if there was a plus, in fact, I'd have to study that, look at that brand a little bit more, but there may even be a natural place in it where I can add a plus sign in the word. Can you show me that again? And I may not even have to have it separate. And I can tell you right now what I would do. All right, just hold it right there for a minute. Let me think. And that's all one word. That's not two words, kind of.
Yes, that's all one word.
Senshako.
Yeah, Senshako. Yeah.
Hang on. Keep it up there. I'm still. I mean, you guys have me on the spot here where I gotta. There's no notes here. I'm going to think out loud so that everyone understands where my mind is going. What I'd really like to do with that is that last O, make it a plus. Yeah. But the problem is, if I put a plus sign in the middle of that O, it's going to look like a target, not a plus sign.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm looking for where in that word, or does it have to kind of start in between the S and the H, or under the H and kind of come down? Here's what I think I would do. Here's what I would do. At the end of the O, in about half the size font that you're using for Senshako, I would add a plus sign. So it's Senshako plus, plus sign right at the end of the word in half size. That's one way to do it. Hang on, there's a little so you could do that, and then go ahead and back it out. Let me see the whole bag again.
Yeah.
One of the things you need to do is
maybe let me. get the smaller bag. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. You know, one of the things I'd be very interested in, just keep holding it there if it's not too heavy for you.
Yeah.
One thing I'd be very interested in is how your customers are using this. So, what do you make when you buy Senshako cassava? What do you make with it? You know, if we started, because the whole point is adding, you add it to things, not what you think they add it to. You need them to tell everybody else what they make with Senshako uh,
Yeah.
flour. So that may be social media. It may
Yeah.
be yeah. Go ahead.
So when you buy cassava meal, you add it to the ugali, as I said, you add it to the ugali. You can mostly, yeah, that's what we use it for.
So you
Or
don't
you,
add it to anything else. They're not adding it to in other.
well, I use it. I mean, you can add it. You can actually use it as a gravy thickener.
Okay.
Yeah, you can. I use it as a gravy thickener. I use it as a gravy thickener, and yeah, that's mostly what we use cassava for. I don't know what my friends can say in other countries in Africa,
Priska,
but
Priska,
yeah,
guess what? We have learned to use baking soda, baking powder, flour for a whole lot of different things. We know that it can melt battery acid, or if you use it
yeah,
for this, it
yeah,
may be in construction. It may be used for a whole lot of other things than food. People may be going and buying this Senshako flour for purposes you have no idea. So you
yeah,
understand it's great for cooking, but I want to know what the other uses that bag can do. And then you're going to
mm,
still grind up, but you're going to sell it, and it sells in the automotive section, not in
mm.
the food section, you know?
Well, it does sell. Yes, it does sell now. Okay, now I was thinking about it just like, for food, for eating. It does sell. I hear you can they use cassava flour as a binder in fish meal, in making fish fish food. Yeah, like in fish meal. They also use cassava flour, I think, in the pharmaceutical industry, when they are making I think tablets like Panadol, for instance, or things
Any
like that.
binder, as a binder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So cassava flour is also used. I mean, it's very big now in Zambia in the copper processing industry, because they use it for processing copper. I don't know how it's used, but a starch, yeah, making starch. You can make like starch from cassava flour, but it's a whole factory on its own, because you have to get the cassava tubers fresh, and you have to process them within 48 hours of getting them, because if you have to process them within 48 hours of getting it from the ground, because if it stays longer, it discolors and it loses its
Oh,
efficacy, whatever, of making yeah. So that's why we buy, I mean, farmers, the growing cassava are small farmers. They have to be aggregated, and then we have to get the product to our factory and so on from, outlying areas. So we don't have that, kind of machinery to start processing the fresh, cassava. It's like a different, ball game altogether.
mm,
So we decided that we will
yeah. Well, yeah, I think it might have froze. But here's the thing, Senshako, I love the brand. I wouldn't change the brand at all. And what I would do is just focus
use
on
it
the,
as
oh, yes,
for
there you
baking, as flour, for like making cookies, because it's a gluten-free. That's the one of the health benefits for cassava. It's gluten-free.
go. Yeah. All right. Well, here's what I would go back to I would not change the brand. That's the net of this. If people already know how to use it, then and you don't have to educate them. then you don't need to add a plus. You don't need to, make a game out of it. And hey, what are all the uses of this? Um, you may try repackaging for if you find a specific niche for a specific people
Yeah.
group that they use it for something. Uh, because I think it's out there. I really do. I think it probably amaze you once you learn some of the unique
Yeah.
ways. I cannot believe they use it for that, and they do. And and so, but to keep the brand as you have it, and just focus on the distributors, uh, individuals in other countries or in other areas where you want to be. And here's the other interesting thought.
Yeah.
Maybe even in try to find places, people to distribute your product in areas that there are shop rights, so that you can show, hey, we're already doing X amount of revenue. But you know what I like about this better? I like the individual distributors in addition to the big box, because when the big box goes away, you still have a network and a channel. And if all of your revenue was coming through ShopRite or the big box stores, then when they leave or shut down, you'd be out of business instantly. And by having individual distributors like this, not only have you empowered women all over Africa, but but your business is more secure and stable. So very good. Love the brand now that I've gotten to see it, and
Yeah.
and it's fun to say. It's fun to say. I love it. Don't change it.
Now, yeah, my one last question. So about branding. So are you saying, I mean, the way that we put this arc there and the name, so it should always be like this, whether it's Sanshako millet, Sanshako cassava meal, or maybe if we go to Sanshako.
Absolutely. In fact, let me say it again. Put it up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got to have that yellow line or gold line. Now, here's what. No, let me back up. It always needs to have that arch underneath of the word as well. But here's the thing: you can change that color based on the product. So, for example, if you were coming out with a different type of flour made from a different, root or whatever was grown, different plant, you could have instead of cassava meal, if it was something else meal or something else. Have the Sanshako, and then maybe that would be in blue. And then a different product would be, that color would be in green. And then it's almost like it's color coded. Even though you have the description, there's also color that goes with it. And so the color of the bowl or the color that's on the bag would match the new color in the arch. That's how you brand, but still maintain the integrity of the overall brand.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that advice. Yeah.
Very good. All right, who's next? Who's next? Let's talk about one more.
Nadia.
Oh, Nadia. Yes, hang on one second. Nadia is next.
Good afternoon.
Greetings.
Greetings. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
I'm Nadia. I'm from Rwanda. I'm in a kids store. Like I'm a retailer for kids clothes, shoes, and whatever. So my question was, I don't know if it's only about the marketing when you was talking about, or if you can ask any question as we are in.
Yeah, any question about the business or strategy or growth or challenges, anything.
Okay. When last time when we talked, you told me about branding.
Okay.
And my question was, when I'm saying about branding, my worry is when we do. Think me, I'm still small, and when I'm not to reach at the stage when I'm stable in my business and I'm doing branding. When it doesn't go on the way my target was, how my fear is when I can do branding and I'm not able to supply or to satisfy all my client needs. So I was thinking myself, I will do branding when I will be able to satisfy my my client. I don't know if you are getting me my top of the question.
I think so. Let me ask it back, and you tell me if I'm understanding you right.
Okay, okay.
I think you're asking that, or saying that you were going to wait till you really met your client's needs to start focusing on branding.
Mm-hmm.
And is that right?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
So here's the interesting thing about branding.
Mm-hmm.
You're branding even when you're not trying to brand. So your brand is who you are and what you do, even before before your business is open. Every individual, every person has a brand. So the question is, when I walk into your store, even though you might not have a logo and a name, or it's not in a certain font or certain colors, and it's not consistent throughout, and all this great marketing branding strategy, you're still branded. What you're branded as is a little store with a name that has no brand, that has no formal brand, that doesn't have a specific color that is their color that people can associate with them. And so I would really encourage you to take the name of your business. Let me give you a quick illustration.
Okay.
A dear friend of mine is his name is his name is Dr. Kyle Bowe, and he's a pediatrician. Okay, so since he's in a children's market as well, and he had a great practice that he had built, and it was in a shopping center, so there were other stores on either side of his medical clinic, and he grew it quite large there. But he's fun. They decorated each one of the rooms a different theme, so maybe it was for sports. Hang on, I am hearing lots of feedback. Try to find where they're coming from. So they branded each room. One might be like princess or fairy tale, or one might be something. It was different things. Some that girls would like, some that boys would like, and but he ended up building a new clinic. By the way, at the end, after your doctor visit, after you saw the doctor, they would go and have a treasure chest with a bunch of very cheap things, but it was always fun for kids, included candy or plastic rings or something, and they were able to go and get something out of the treasure chest. So it made their trip to the doctor pleasant. Now I say that because that's how he started. He maybe a year or so ago completed a brand new facility, and it's his own facility. There's nothing else connected to it, and he also has an urgent care and the medical clinic. Well, out in front of this building are three big, how you have to have pillars to support like an overhang or an entrance. You have to have support beams for that. He made those support beams big crayons. So he made it to where each one was a crayon. So it looks like crayons are holding up his building. It's branding. That's branding. Now, when he didn't own the building, he couldn't do that. But he made his business different than all the other pediatrician doctors out there. Now, for you, you're not the only place that sells baby clothes and children's clothes and children's toys and all things baby and children, right? There's other places that sell this. So you have to decide, how do I separate my business from theirs? And some of them do brand, and some of them here's the thing. When I walk into your store, you have to give me an experience. I have to feel something when I walk into your store. Not that there's a bunch of stuff everywhere. In fact, clutter creates confusion. And the rule in business is that a confused mind says no. A confused mind says no. Listen, everyone, because if you're trying to sell somebody something and they're confused, what do we say? What do you do if you're confused about buying something? You don't buy yet, right? So so having a lot of things does not necessarily create the sale. Um,
Yeah.
but the experience does. So what do I feel when I walk into Nadia's children's store? What do I feel? Do I feel at peace? Does it just seem like one of the same as everybody else's, or is there something unique about it? What's unique about shopping with you? Now, you may go as the business owner to, well, my prices are good, or my quality is better, or, and that's all great. But you need to have an experience
Mm.
that tells your customers that. Okay. They need to
Okay.
experience that.
Mm.
Uh, so
Mm.
when I walk in, what do I feel when I just stand there and look around? Do I like how it smells? Is it visually appealing? And whatever your brand is, your name and logo, does the feeling match the logo? That's called branding. When the feeling and experience I get in your store matches what you're selling, what you're saying
Mm.
it feels like, right? So I can look at a brand and know, sometimes I can even tell what the company culture might be like based on the brand, because I can get enough feeling. Like when I looked at Sanchaco, I don't know who works there, but they look fun to me, right? Like they just seem like they're fun people. That brand tells
We
me,
are fun.
oh, you are. I don't doubt it. Yes, yes. See, so the brand, I have a feeling and imagination of what, no matter what building they're in, they could be in. It doesn't mean it's expensive. They could be in, like
Yeah.
she said, a rundown factory that they had to improve. But at least I know the culture behind the company and behind the brand. And even if you are a company of one person, you have a brand and you have a culture. The problem is, if you are not intentional about it, then customers create their own, come to their own conclusions, and they create your brand for you, which is disastrous. So
Yeah. I get
I
you.
would, yeah, yeah. So focus on, how can I create an experience when my customers come in this store, whether they buy anything or not. What do they experience? What do they feel? Maybe, maybe I've got happy sayings on the wall, or positive sayings, painted, or those clings that you put on the wall that they to encourage them. Or maybe it's fun things for children. So it's just a happy place to be. It's a jolly place to be. Um, or maybe you paint one or two of the walls bright pink, and one or two of the walls another fun color. One wall pink, one wall green, one wall blue, and you walk in and it's like, I feel like I'm in a giant candy store, but it's for clothes, Or my
Mm.
point is, you've got to just think about, how can I create experience, because that is what people are going to start saying about your brand. They choose to shop with you because when I shop there, it's fun. When I shop there, my kids don't scream. Think about
Mm.
this. I mean, if you go to most shopping centers, you see a lot of miserable children when their mothers shop too long, right? They get fidgety, they
Mm.
get bored, they get tired, they start screaming, and but the moms want to keep shopping. So,
Yeah.
and you don't want the child, when they say, "Where are we going?" and saying, "Oh, we're going to Nadia's store," or the name of
Mm.
your boutique. You don't want the
Mm.
kids going, "Oh no, mom, let's not go there." But you want them to be like, "Oh, I can't wait because I get to do this or see that, or because I have fun there." And then now you've got all these kids that are trying to get their mom, "Hey mom, let's go see Nadia today. Hey mom, we've got
Mm.
to go to this boutique today. Hey mom, we have to." They're
Okay.
pushing the parents to buy and spend money with you because you
Mm.
created an experience, which is the
A
brand.
good atmosphere. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, what comes to mind immediately when you hear some of these thoughts? What comes to your mind?
Sorry.
When you hear some of these thoughts, what comes to your mind? What are some thoughts that you're having, and maybe things that you could do, or if what you might change, or what color, which scheme would you use? What look and feel do
Yeah.
you want it to be? Do you want it to be soft and gentle or loud and fun?
When you are speaking like a place where people or kids will feeling comfortable, I think I have a big space. So when you are saying that, I think I can have small places where kids will be able to play, will be able to be busy of them, then their mother can do shopping easily and without looking on their kid, where is my boy, where is my girl, like they are not stable and doing whatever they are doing. So when you are saying that, I understand that I can think the comfortable place for the kids and the comfortable matter for the mothers who are coming to shop.
I love that. I love that. And Nadia, whenever there's a good idea, I always go back and say, has it been used successfully anywhere else? You know, from a different industry. And
Mm,
the fast food industry in the United States used the exact strategy to grow. That's what McDonald's used to grow into a global company. They
mm,
started having play places, and they were playgrounds attached to the building, so that's all the kids chose to go there to eat because they wanted to play. And so
mm,
that was a strategy that they used, and some others followed suit. Chick-fil-A, who had started off in malls only, and then now have a lot of locations. Uh, Many of the locations, not all anymore, but many of them had play places, and so they used a very similar strategy. But that's because they were also targeting children. It just makes sense. I love that idea, and since you have the space, I completely agree. And in terms of a space for the parents, I would also encourage you. What's the name of your boutique?
Aldora.
Angola.
Aldora.
Okay, how do you spell it? And
Aldora. It's
Aldoha.
in French.
Okay,
Aldora, yes.
Aldoha.
It's I don't know if you are speaking French.
Oh no, no. I have a hard enough time speaking English half the time.
Okay. Aldora, it's R
Okay.
D O R
All right.
D O R. Yeah, yeah. It's
Okay.
Aldora. Mm,
Okay. That sounds like a classy brand. It sounds classy.
okay. Thank you.
I mean, is it? Is that what you were going for?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's more of an elegant feel and a little bit more of an upscale, high end feel. So it is great to have the play area, but you want to
Okay.
preserve that classy experience for the moms. They may be a mom, but they still want to feel like, you know, they're maybe shopping at a higher end place than what, they want to feel like they want to feel special when they shop at your place. And so you may even consider something that Olive Garden, which is a Italian restaurant in the United States. They're the only ones who do this, by the way. Very interesting. But when they bring out the bill at the end of the meal, they bring thin mints, like chocolate mint things. Little thin
Mm,
mints is what they call it. And they give each person at the table a thin mint with the check.
wow.
And now they do that kind of for just because of the palate and after Italian food or your breath or whatever. But regardless, it's an extremely cheap thing. But it
Mm,
also, you feel classy. You feel, high end when you're eating a beautifully wrapped thin mint, right? And they come in like silver packaging, foil, or green, or different colors. So it's always, but it's always shiny. So it seems classy. Um,
mm,
but there are little touches like that you could add, that the moms that
mm,
come in and shop at your boutique, they know they're going to go, they get that. And the children know they get to play,
mm,
and they're not going to be bored. Um, Maybe have some coloring books and crayons, and you know things for those who just don't go play, but maybe some who are more creative types, just like to draw. Um, uh, so just think through how you can create the experience. And I would like to see the actual brand. I would like to see what color you use, what font you use, um, and maybe even pictures of inside of the boutique, because I think there's probably a lot you can do. And here's what's going to happen as you start instituting some of these things. I promise your customers are going to go, oh, wow, Nadia, this is really nice. This is great. You're going to start getting a lot of positive feedback on these changes,
Okay.
because here's what we know in retail: the longer they stay in your store, the more they'll buy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Key is keeping them in there. So by keeping the children occupied, you give
Mm-hmm.
yourself a better chance to make more sales.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, yeah. And then everyone's comfortable and everyone's relaxed and everybody, it feels the last thing, and then we'll move on. I just have so much fun with this, but the music. Do you have music
Mm.
playing in your store?
Yeah. Yeah. I
What
have.
is it? Gentle music, soft music, or what kind?
It's soft music. I usually sometimes I'm asking myself for what can I play, but I use soft music. Yeah.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure the music matched the brand, or and the name and the logo and the feel of the place,
Mm.
and it does. That's exactly. If you were listening to, pop this and all that, I'd be like, it doesn't really flow with the experience that I'm hearing that you're giving these mothers. So I think these are great next steps. You may actually see easily a 20% uplift increase in your sales just as a result of putting it on this play area, and and creating something very, very, very inexpensive, but something memorable for the mothers, such as a chocolate, um, or something along those lines. Women love chocolate; they love, a lot of things like that. But even just to receive something so thoughtful, as a Thin Mint like that, it's is nice. So just some things to think about, but I think that it will increase your sales because they're going to stay in your store a lot longer when they don't have little ones nagging at them and saying, "Can we go now, mommy?" and that kind of thing. It'll make a big difference.
Well, what I think when we are like the chances I had were like when I started with traveling, I started buying my stuff outside of my country. So I had an experience for other countries. When you are going their boutique, then they give you juice, they give you a tea, they ask you what can I sell, what can I give you, a juice, a water, like they are welcoming you, feel like you are at your own home. Like, so when they are discussing with you and they give you something that you can't go outside to buy a juice or to think about a tea, so they sell at their boutique. So they keep you there, then they like they you feel you are comfortable. So it means you would go or you will take the time on their boutique, so you will be able to buy, and you feel you have to do so. In our countries, like in Rwanda, marketing or like mm, we don't know how to advertise our someone can enter in the shop and I'm still sitting, I can't welcome her, come in, and he's selling that, like you are telling me that I want to buy a pants, and you would show the only pants. You don't go to, how about the t-shirt? How about a shirt? How about shoes? Like, to interest him, then he can tell you, I don't need that. I was looking at a pants only, so you can just. In other countries, they know how to. So I get those experience, then I bring it in my boutique. So when we are able to get like another experience that we are, like you are teaching us how to do, it will be good for us, I think.
Yeah, and I want you to really mark the day that you start, because I want to start seeing as word spreads about your place and the changes and the updates. I want to see how more frequent their visits become, So maybe somebody who only came once every 2 months may start coming once a month, or maybe they come once a month, they start coming once every other week. I think the frequency of your customers will increase. And remember what I said near the beginning in terms of increasing revenue, getting current customers to buy more or to buy more frequent. In the US, have you heard of Walmart? I know there's not one
Sorry?
there, but there's Walmarts in like US and China and so forth. And it's a very low cost retail store, massive, really, really big, bigger than any of the stores in Kenya or Rwanda or Zambia, or they're just really big box stores. And these places that are very cheap like that, their strategy is not so much just to have somebody come in and spend $1,000. Their strategy is to have you come in 20 times and spend $100. So people think that and really what they're doing is instead of going in and spending 100, you're going to go in 5 times and spend 50. So people think that they're spending less. This is at the discount store. They think they're spending less, but they're actually spending more because they increase the number of visits. They make things.
The time, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that just monitor that, the frequency, how people, how long it takes before they come back. And then also track your revenue once this starts happening. Because if we just increased the length of time, if the average customer spends 7 minutes in your store and they now spend 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, because little Johnny doesn't want to leave the play area, and the mom has tried 2 times, 3 times to get the boy child or girl child to go, and they say, 5 more minutes, mommy, 5 more minutes. And mommy goes, okay, and goes back. And now that she's going to look at the jewelry, or now she looks at this and shops at that. I want to know the revenue increase from this, So just keep track. Make sure you're measuring. They say what gets measured gets improved. What gets measured gets improved. So track those things so that you know. And by the way, do you know why that saying is true? The reason why the saying is true, that what gets measured or what's tracked gets improved, is because of focus. Because whatever is measured is what everyone is focusing on. And it goes back to our major theme of the day, which was the only reason people fail in business is because of broken focus. So don't lose focus. Nadia, thanks again for sharing, and look forward to hearing from you next time on how these changes affected your business. Great huddle today. Thank you all so much. We'll be doing this again frequently and from time to time. What I would ask each of you to do, because I'm not going to send out a blanket email again on day, time, the link, and so forth, but I did start a WhatsApp group just for the huddle. And so if you would email us, and let me put the name in the chat, the email address in the chat box here for you. And if you will email us, then with your WhatsApp number, I will get you added. It's office@transform-africa.com, but I've just sent that to you. Actually, let me give you, go ahead, use that one and send the WhatsApp number, and then that'll be fine. And we'll get you added to the WhatsApp group. And you're free to share this with other entrepreneurs from other African countries and from your own, to have them on as well, to learn, to grow, to improve and develop their enterprise. That's why we're doing this. It's what it's for. So I hope that it's been a blessing to you, because we do it for one reason, that all the earth may know. We want to You know, I really want to see the African continent blossom and grow and rise up out of poverty, rise up out of poor health, rise up out of any type of squalor, rise up out of being suppressed. I just want to see them rise up in every area, and I know that entrepreneurship is a great leveler worldwide. A good business done the right way and using technology or the internet and things like that can take any African enterprise and allow them to compete on a global level if we keep working at these things in the way we are. So it's my I mean, it is my honor, and I'm always humbled to just to be able to speak into your lives and your businesses, and of course we do this for the transformation of Africa. So thank you all so much for joining me this time for the huddle, and we'll see you. We'll see you in the near future. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
In the stars, phone in the dark, putting my life on restart. So many places to go. Asking what's best, I don't know. Each hour's an hour you make, so I know it's gonna be strange. One more day, I believe that it's gonna be all okay with you. And I gotta breathe. I'm awake. My heart is beating for you. Your love is all I need. Another day, I'm gonna live it for you. I'm giving thanks for another day. Giving thanks for another day. Thank you for one more day. Giving thanks for another day. Giving thanks for another day. No one can tell me what's next. Just how much time I got left. Hourglass half full of sin, but I know it's all in your hands. There is no me, only us. It's only in you I would trust. Goodbye to fear and a doubt. Hello to your love reaching out. One more day. Wanna show that I'm gonna go all the way with you. I gotta breathe. I'm awake. My heart is beating for you. Your love is all I need. Another day, I'm gonna live it for you. I'm giving thanks for another day. Giving thanks for another day. Thank you for one more day. Giving thanks for another day. Giving thanks for another day. Thank you for one more day. Giving thanks for another day. Giving thanks for another day. Thank you for one more day. Giving thanks for another day. Giving thanks for another day. It's hard, so young. It's yours. All of my days, my hours, they're yours, just yours. This heart, so young. It's yours. All of my days, my hours, they're yours, just yours. And I gotta breathe. I'm awake. My heart is beating for you. Love's all I need. Another day, keep on loving me. I'm going in for you. Giving thanks for another day. Giving thanks for another day. I'm giving thanks for another day. 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 Giving thanks for another day.